You've walked through stores, restaurants, hospitals, and hotels your entire life. But have you ever stopped to ask who actually owns these places? Because someone does. And with every footstep you've taken, they've gotten richer. In this video, we'll reveal the real secret behind how real estate builds lasting wealth. And by the end, you'll understand why the rich never stop buying real estate, even when prices seem high. No hype. Just the real strategies people use to turn one door into an empire. Give Luxo-Life some love, and let's begin. Start small. The house hack? If you're watching this and you've ever paid rent, you've already made someone else richer. That monthly check you send, it doesn't disappear. It goes straight into someone else's pocket, helping them build equity while you're left with nothing to show for it. And that's not your fault, it's how the system works. But once you realize it, the next move becomes obvious. Flip the equation. Start playing the ownership side of the game. You don't need to be rich to start. Most first-time real estate investors begin with something called a house hack. It's one of the most effective ways to enter the market with minimal risk. The concept is simple. Buy a small multi-unit property like a duplex or triplex and live in one of the units. Then, you rent out the others. In many cases, the rental income from your tenants covers most or even your entire monthly mortgage. That means you're either drastically reducing your cost of living or living completely rent-free. And while that's happening, something powerful is working in the background. Equity. Every month your mortgage gets paid down, the value of your property potentially increases, and your net worth grows. You're not just covering your housing costs anymore because you're investing. Thousands of people have used this strategy to go from tenants to owners, from paycheck to building true financial stability. It's not flashy, but it's the foundation of real wealth. Quiet, steady, and completely within reach. The entry-level landlord. Fast forward a bit, you've moved out of that duplex, but instead of selling it, you decide to keep it. Now both units are rented, and each month, those rent payments land in your account. It's not flashy, it's not viral, but it's consistent. Your mortgage is getting paid down by someone else. Meanwhile, your equity is quietly growing. And unlike a 9-to-5, you don't have to show up every day to keep the income flowing. That's your first taste of what it means to earn money while you sleep. This is where a lot of people fall in love with real estate. You're no longer just earning a paycheck, you're holding a cash-generating asset. Sure, you might still get the occasional maintenance call or need to repaint a wall between tenants. But now, your time is going into managing a system, not clocking in. This is what it looks like when your first property stops being a place you lived in and starts becoming your first income stream. Airbnb, one property, triple the rent. At some point, you look around your neighborhood and notice a pattern. That one little property down the street, it's never empty. Different people coming in and out every weekend, suitcases rolling, lights always on. You do a little digging and realize it's an Airbnb. And not just that, it's pulling in 2 to 3 times more per month than your long-term rental. Suddenly, a light goes off. You're sitting on the same opportunity, just using a slower playbook. So, you test the waters, you furnish a clean, comfortable unit, take great photos, and list it online. Before you know it, your weekends are fully booked weeks, even months in advance. Yes, there are more moving parts. You might answer a few last-minute questions or coordinate check-ins, but the income? Way stronger than traditional rent. If the location's solid and the experience is right, one short-term rental can outperform multiple long-term ones. This is how one property, done right, becomes a serious cash machine. The BRRR method, scale without saving. At this point, the idea of owning more properties sounds exciting, But saving up tens of thousands for each new deal? That's a painfully slow game. And that's where BRRR comes in. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. This isn't a trend, it's a system. And for thousands of investors, it's the key to scaling quickly without draining their savings every time. Here's how it works. You find a property that's outdated, underpriced, or just plain neglected. Most people would pass on it, but you see the potential. You buy it below market value, renovate it to increase its worth, and then rent it out to a solid tenant. Now that it's generating income and looks far better than before, you go back to the bank. The new value of the property allows you to refinance, pulling most or even all of your original cash back out. Now here's the kicker. You still own the property. It's cash flowing, appreciating, and being paid down by your tenant. But that same cash you pulled out, you use it to do the whole process again on a new property. That's the power of BRRR. It's a real estate flywheel that creates momentum, turning one down payment into multiple income-producing properties without waiting years in between. This is how regular people quietly build entire portfolios, one smart move at a time. The tax game. Keep more, pay less. One of the most underrated advantages of real estate? Taxes, or rather, how little of them you might actually pay. See, wealthy investors don't just earn more, they keep more. Real estate offers built-in tax benefits that most people overlook. You can deduct repair costs, insurance, maintenance, property management fees, even mileage on your car if you're driving to check on your rentals. Own a home office where you handle tenant calls and paperwork? That's deductible too. And it doesn't stop there. When you eventually sell a property, you can use something called a 1031 exchange to roll your profits into another property and legally delay paying capital gains tax. Plus, rental income is typically taxed at a lower rate than regular W-2 income. That's how full-time investors can pay less in taxes than employees earning half as much. The tax code wasn't built to reward labor, it was built to reward ownership. And real estate? It plays right into that system. Commercial real estate, leased to businesses, not people. At some point, the late-night plumbing calls and missed rent payments start to wear on you. That's when many investors make the shift to commercial real estate. Instead of renting to individuals, you lease to businesses. Think strip malls, office spaces, warehouses. The tenants sign multi-year contracts, often with built-in rent escalations. That means fewer turnovers, more stable income, and a whole lot less chasing people for payments. And here's the kicker. In many commercial leases, it's the tenant, not the landlord, who covers the property taxes, insurance, and even maintenance. These triple net leases create higher margins and far more predictability. You're no longer dealing with late rent excuses. You're locking in revenue with contracts. This is the moment you stop being just a landlord and step fully into the role of a real estate entrepreneur running a leaner, more scalable business. Quiet niches, storage, farmland, mobile homes. Here's where it gets interesting. The wealthiest investors don't always chase what's trendy. They focus on what works. And often, the best performing real estate assets are the ones nobody's talking about. Mobile home parks, for example, have long-term tenants, low turnover, and minimal upkeep. Most of the time, you don't even own the homes, just the land they sit on. That means fewer repairs and steady cash flow. Then there's self-storage. No tenants living on site, no toilets, just secured units and predictable monthly payments. And farmland? It quietly produces income year after year, whether through leasing to farmers or growing commodities. It's one of the most recession-resistant assets you can own. These aren't flashy plays, but they're reliable, scalable, and loved by ultra-wealthy investors for a reason. They don't make headlines, but they do build empires. And yes, they're available to you too. Team up. Buy bigger with other people's money. Eventually, you reach a point where your growth slows down. It is not because you are out of good deals, but because your own capital is tied up. This is a common roadblock for investors. The solution? Partnering with others who want the returns, but not the daily work. This is where real estate syndication comes in. You locate the property, negotiate the purchase, and structure the deal. Your investors bring in the capital, and in return, they earn passive income while you grow your portfolio. This creates a win-win arrangement. Instead of being limited to smaller projects, you can now step into apartment complexes, retail centers, or larger developments. You are no longer building one property at a time. You are building an entire portfolio with a team. Real estate development. Build from scratch. Still hungry for more? Then real estate development might be your next move. This is where you stop waiting for the perfect property to appear and start creating it yourself. It begins with finding the right piece of land in a location that is poised for growth. You then build what the market needs most, whether that is a set of residential homes, a retail strip, or a community center. If executed correctly, development has the potential to multiply your original investment many times over. It is a more advanced play that requires vision, access to capital, and careful planning. This is the stage where real estate stops being just a source of profit and starts becoming a long-lasting legacy that can benefit generations. Too big to fail. Real estate as power. The final level is when you stop simply playing in the market and start influencing it. At this stage, you are no longer thinking about single properties or even small portfolios. Large firms like BlackRock operate here. They are not buying one house at a time. They are acquiring entire neighborhoods and shaping the market with their moves. When you operate at this scale, real estate shifts from being a source of income to being a tool of influence. Prices, supply, and even housing policy can be affected by your strategy. This is the level where ownership extends beyond cash flow and becomes power. Few reach it, but those who do leave an imprint on the market that lasts for decades. You see, you don't need 50 units, you need one, then two, then a system. Real estate wealth isn't loud. It compounds slowly and surely until one day you look up and realize you're not just paying your bills. You own the building where the bills get paid. Luxo lovers, if this helped you see real estate differently, hit the like button, drop a comment below, and share it with others. We're building Luxo-Life one smart step at a time. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next video. Catch you in the next video, Luxo lovers.